Is it possible for God to save good people who never become Christians? Welcome to this, your daily 180 Bible study. We're talking about things that are impossible for God. And keep in mind, early on we laid it down, God can't engage in absurdities, God cannot lie, and God cannot break promises. And one of the things that we know is Jesus said, John 14, verse number 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you don't come through Jesus, you won't have a relationship with the Father. Now, we can try to find all types of exceptions, but you're not going to be the great exception because God does not lie. I want you to consider Galatians chapter 2, verse number 21. And when we see this idea, it's impossible for God to save us apart from the sacrifice of Jesus. Galatians chapter 2, verse number 21, Paul would write, I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness comes through the law. And there the idea is any system of self-justification. These Judaizing teachers, we oftentimes say this is the law of Moses, but it's not just the law of Moses. It's their particular hybrid view, their perverted view of the law. And if it's possible to be saved through some system of self-justification, he goes on to say, then Christ died in vain. And so here is the point. You're not going to be right with God without somehow taking part in the sacrifice of Jesus. And God lays that somehow out for us. I want you to look over at Hebrews chapter 10 and beginning at verse number 11 and listen to what the writer of the book of Hebrews has to say. And every priest stands ministering daily. Now there's that idea. I want you to get that two words, stands and daily. It's an ongoing process. And offering repeatedly the same sacrifices which can never take away sins. But this man, speaking of Jesus, but this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down at the right hand of God. One sacrifice, and he sat down. What's the point? People stand when they're working. Those priests are constantly working, and guess what? They're not getting the job done. Because it's all dependent upon the sacrifice of Jesus. And so if you have good people out there who have never made access to the sacrifice of Jesus, it's impossible for God to save them. You say, I don't know that I like that. Well, just keep this in mind. God cannot lie, and He's laid down for us the promise that salvation is through Jesus Christ. Join us again tomorrow.